review, I'm going to turn to Alan. No, you're welcome.
Yeah. I remember seeing this movie a while back. I honestly can't even place where I've seen it. It could have been any time in the last 10 or 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember having positive feelings coming out of this movie, and being positively surprised. So coming into this, I was excited to see how it holds up after all this time. So watching it again, I was at first taken aback by how much I disliked Dennis Quaid, his character.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But then everything else that I remembered about this movie as being really good was like even better the second time around. And I really enjoyed this film. I really loved the racial context that was going on there, talking about between the two of them. And then also really enjoying the growth of Dennis Quaid's character, particularly after he becomes a father figure. He just is completely transformed, and it makes sense. You see it happening, and it's believable, and he does it really well. Because now he has his responsibility. And so, like, everything about him being a racist, about my country, my race is better than your country, or your race, like, all of that is gone. And suddenly he's like, I have a child. I have to take care of this child. And
one of the weirder plot developments in it.
It was very strange, but
it is strange. Yeah.
It was very strange. I give it that, but it was just amazing, and I appreciated it more the second time around.
I feel like this is a mixed bag for me. In almost every aspect. I feel like if I made a list of the things that I really liked about this movie and the problems that I saw with this movie, it would be about even.
Oh.
I kind of want to give it the edge in the positive direction because I don't think it's a great movie by any means, but I feel like it's a movie that should be forgotten.
Yeah.
Because it has a lot of good ideas. If not unique in sci-fi, unique in cinema. Great special effects. Well, those are mixed bag too here and there. I mean, some of them, but
I mean, consider some of the special effects that was happening in other movies at the same time. They're not that great.
Yeah,
it's good makeup.
The makeup job on those costumes is one of the best ever.
Incredible.
Yeah.
The opening fight, whatever it is one of the lamest.
Lame.
It's pretty lame.
I was really
it's
worried
very
at that
lame.
point
Very
that
bad.
it was going to be.
Yeah. And that hurts for me. That hurt like the beginning of the film a little bit because that part was so lame.
Yeah.
Like,
It's definitely post Star Wars. Like they're trying to do the cool outer space battle, and they just couldn't pull it off.
Couldn't pull it off.
Yeah.
When his friend dies, like, and his friend does the cheesy, wait, no, like dies twice.
Well,
basically,
he shouldn't have had that backstory about the woman.
He shouldn't have. Which was again,
It's like
lame.
certain death.
Yeah. It always is. But I agree with you. It feels like a mixed bag for me. There's some stuff that I really appreciate. That the character development is one of them.
Yeah.
But then there seems to be these the action frequently in it feels very much like lame, really weak.
Feels like original Star Trek.
Really quick. That's what I was thinking. I felt like I was watching. I felt like I was watching an extended Star Trek episode, which is not derogatory. Star Trek is good, and it has some really good stuff about it, but this has a lot of the same
character-driven movie. I mean, to say that you're going to let special effects take away from a character-driven movie would be like saying, I'm not going to watch a movie because it's in black and white, just despite the fact that it is a character-driven and plot-driven movie.
So you think that films don't age, that doesn't affect them in that sense?
In that sense, I mean, like, listen, I mean, like, if we're talking about Skyline, in 50 years, that probably won't be worth talking about. It's worth talking about now, but not in 50 years. Like this movie, we can still talk about this in 50 years. And because it's not about the special effects, it's about the characters.
I don't think Nate's disagreeing with you on that. I think it's just that it's noticeable. The fact that this movie is aged, and the effects in general, the sound effects, special effects. I mean, the effects in general.
Running around on the ground.
Yeah. I mean,
they have not aged. These are bad things.
They have not aged well.
But they have aged.
But what this movie has is that relationship and these characters, and those it is still watchable because of those things.
That's the universal aspect that doesn't age.
Yeah.
Some things do, some things don't.
The other thing is the Drax gun looks a lot like a toy.
Yeah.
That's very much like right out of the 50s and 60s.
That's fine.
I mean, props look like toys, and
Can you think of movies that age well? That sometimes as they age, they get better. Or can you think of?
Well, you're talking about Aliens. I mean,
Aliens
came out the following year, and I think that movie looks just as good as it did.
Yeah,
when it first came out.
Yeah, it still holds up.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
The special effects in that movie, without the CGI, put to shame most movies of that kind that come out nowadays.
Definitely.
So,
we talk about how Jurassic Park still shames a lot of films with what it does.
True. Yeah. Still has better CGI than most CGI movies.
I think sometimes films can, it's not something that kind of, it's like a reflexive aging. I think that films that are really old sometimes get more credit than they're due. For example, my biggest example is sometimes Alfred Hitchcock films, and that might be heresy, but like The Birds is not very good. I don't particularly care for it.
Shame on you, Nate.
I
thought you hadn't seen that movie.
The Birds?
Yeah.
No, I've seen The Birds.
You told me you hadn't watched it.
No. When did I tell you that?
You told me you never would watch that movie.
No. Was that me? No.
Yes.
I've seen The Birds.
You.
It's lame. It's a lame movie. It's not a very scary film. I think it's given credit because it scared a lot of people at the time.
Yeah.
Another one of his that I recently watched was Dial M for Murder. And it's pretty good. But I had heard that, because it was Hitchcock, I gave it, I think, more credit than it deserved. And so it let me down a little. And so I think sometimes even aging can have that reverse effect that because it's an old movie, we sit there and we think, oh, obviously it must be better. So sometimes there comes a point when a movie sticks around for so long, we are not willing to judge it as objectively as we do. And sometimes we're extra harsh. I can be pretty harsh on 80s films because in general, I have a prejudice towards them. I need to sit down with an 80s alien and live for him for a few years.
50 First Dates either. Wow, there's a lot of movies I haven't seen this week.
50 First Dates?
I liked 50 First Dates.
It's watchable. Yeah, okay. I like it.
I liked it. It's one of Adam Sandler's better films in the sense where he was more of a serious role.
Better silly films.
Yeah, right. I mean, like he did this. He did Wedding Singer. Punch Drunk Love is a completely different category, but like I like it better than, for example, like Happy Gilmore or things like that. Just because
I think a lot of that's his rapport with Drew Barrymore. It's just so good.
Yeah.
Well, and their stories are a bit more serious.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a bit. Yeah.
It's still the ending seems really not.
I haven't seen this. So.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah. Spoiler alert. If you watch this podcast,
you understand the concept though, right? She can't come up with new. Right, she can't build new memories. She relives
the ending. Is not the kind of ending you expect to see in such a silly comedy.
It's. I actually enjoyed the ending. I thought it was a good twist.
Yeah.
If only Rob Schneider was.
That was exactly what I was going to say. My problem with this again is that Adam Sandler insists on keeping Rob Schneider's career alive. He shouldn't. The man should be relegated to like bit parts in television.
Yeah.
On an off channel.
I'm going for Enemy Mine though.
Yeah, I'm going in Enemy Mine. I think so too.
I actually have a hard time with this, but all right, I'll go with Enemy Mine.
Okay.
Oh, that was so sorry.